What is your opinion about learning? How would you like to define learning, or what does learning mean to you? Does learning mean to you mere cramming of textbooks? Whatever books are given to you, does it mean that you will be cramming those books? Or does it mean mindless reproduction of memorized ideas? So you don't bother to understand what is there, but then you just memorize and then reproduce that. Does it mean getting something on paper in the form of a degree or certificate? Or does it imply that you show off somebody the certificates, degrees and medals accumulated? Is it mere increase of knowledge? Does learning mean that you keep on increasing your knowledge? Is it merely that? Or is it your ability to memorize and reproduce? Or does it simply mean that you gather facts and then you store them for future use? What does learning actually mean? For some people, learning, they say that it's after all a search for meaning, a search for purpose. And for some, it simply means that your ability to understand reality and know how to interpret it correctly. Now, whatever definitions that you may subscribe to, most of which are very conventional, the way I want you to look at learning and I want you to understand as what learning really means is this. To me, real learning actually means human interaction with the environment that results in a permanent change in behavior. Human interaction with the environment that results in a permanent change in behavior. This means your ability to transact with the surrounding, either using your sensory perception or just observing things with whatever is available in the environment. But learning is not ending there, but letting that affect you and change your behavior, and not just temporarily but making permanent modification of your behavior. That should be the real aim of learning. If you understand this aspect of learning, this means and gives us certain implications. For instance, all learning is not done by reading books. In fact, what is in between the books, what is in between the lines, what is the subtext, that will tell you more about your ability to develop soft skills, not what is literally learned from the books. And interestingly, most learning is done outside the classrooms. Most of the learning is done outside the classrooms. It's not done inside the classroom, it's done outside the classroom. Then much of your learning depends on your interaction with the environment. The environment could be sometimes classroom, sometimes it could be just friends, that is people in various forms. It could be your teachers, it could be your even enemies, it could be your parents, it could be somebody in the neighbor, it could be a religious leader, it could be anybody in the form of human resource from which you can interact and learn. It could be books, it could be very interesting and influential movies, it could be simply nature. There are so many poets, philosophers, writers and leaders who have gained so much from just watching nature. If you have read Hermann Hesse's Siddhartha, so there is a character by name Vasudeva who is acting as a ferryman, who is just taking people from one bank of the river to the other bank, and he says he learns a lot from the river. All his education, he says, is from the river, so he is able to learn so much. So learning, first you should understand, is not from books only, not from that you learn from classroom. You can learn from the environment by interacting with that, and in the environment, classroom could be one of them, but then it goes beyond the classroom teaching. Now, in whatever way one learns, if it does not result in behavior modification, it is not learnt at all. This is another interesting implication. Whatever that you learn, if it is not resulting in any change in your behavior. So you might have heard of people shouting at so-called educated youths, not giving space to a disabled person okay, a disadvantaged person, and then they are not giving space, and although the seat it is written that it is meant for people who are disadvantaged and people with some kind of disability, and they are not giving space, or they are not giving space to elders. So people will ask them, aren't you educated? What is implied is that, okay, you look like educated, but then it is not shown in your behavior, in your action. Now it shows that you have actually not learned the real lessons. So whatever is affected in the form of your behavior is something that we can say that is the thing that you have learned.